It's Texas Hate Week. That's all I got to say. Let's get it.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Our intent was to eat. Our intent was to come eat and be hungry.
We're taking receipts, and we'll see you at the national championship.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the South End Zone. If you just watched it,
ready, Tyler?
Say it again.
Your water bottles ready?
Got our water bottles ready. If you look at that clip of Kirby, that is from last year's Texas W in Austin. So it's horns down week, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the South End Zone. My name is Tyler, joined always by my good friend Chad. Got a big one this weekend. Got some playoff implications on the line. Before we get into any of that, I want to make sure everybody likes, share, comments, subscribes. And before we get into the games, Chad, how are we feeling?
I feel like you need to give everybody the context of that Kirby clip. He was asked, Kirby, what did you think when they threw those water bottles? Were you guys thirsty? He said, we came here to eat, not to drink. We came here to eat. So,
listen.
Oh shoot, man! Let's hope Athens can return the favor and maybe have a little more luck than the folks in Austin had last year in that matchup. But I'm feeling pretty good. Look, hey man, we haven't talked since this kind of came up. We haven't done a show where we could talk about this, but the odds are moving. Nick Saban went from 75-1 last week to 2-1, and now he's what is that? Is it 4-3? I think, or 5-4 is the odds now.
Like, yeah,
plus 175
something
now
like that. Like 4 to 3,
7-2. I don't know.
Like shitty blackjack odds. You only
get right. It's like crazy. Yeah, crazy. But anyway, he is the odds-on favorite to become
the next
LSU head coach. And look, I sent y'all that little diatribe that my son had sent me on Saturday night during the LSU Alabama game, where the word was that like all the stuff, all the lip service that was given to him, not wanting the job, and to LSU having kind of crossed him off the list, was all like to avoid being a distraction for the LSU Alabama game, so that they could actually, like, out of respect to both schools, right? Because Saban coached at both schools, has respect for the administration, the players, other coaches, and of course the fan bases. And so let that game play itself out without that distraction. I think it was very effective at that, because it was really not talked about.
It still hasn't been talked about in major media chats. So that's why I'm like, do you know something that I truly don't?
So when the betting odds come out and you go to look for where they're putting, so there's Bet Online has, and I can pull it up. Bet Online has the odds for all of the major openings for coaches. And I'll pull this up later. I'll let you go into the Georgia game, because you guys have a big one coming up. But I'll pull that up while you're talking. So when we go into the LSU Arkansas game, I can kind of give a little feedback into that. But yeah, I'm loving life right now. The guys who I really want, Saban, Lane Kiffin, Kelvin Shepard, those guys are kind of percolating to the top of the odds lists. And this is stuff that I was talking about before these guys were even really in the conversation for being serious candidates, and now they're kind of floating up to the top of the list. So yeah, life is good, even though we have a 5-4 football team here in Baton Rouge.
Yes, life is good. If Nick Saban becomes the head coach at LSU, I don't know, like, I need to hear somebody like with a loud mouthpiece put it out there, but then those odds will go to minus whatever. But like, it's like I saw the, like, I forget who put. I think it was Walker. He was like, my coaching list: LSU, Lane Kiffin, Auburn, John Summerall, Florida, Lane Kiffin again. And then New York Giants, also Lane Kiffin. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so who knows like what's going to happen with the coaching shakeup? But we got a good weekend of college football, and let's not waste any time. I will throw this bad boy up here. We got the Longhorns coming to Athens on Saturday night, 7:30 local time. Might I add there, Mr. Chad? in my opinion, Texas kind of skated in some of the games they've played in, but we'll get to that. Texas, of course, brings that. They talk about that defense. The number 11 scoring defense in the country with 16.4 points per game. Number 2 rush defense with 78.2 yards per game. And, I truly understand that. I also think they have a good, maybe not statistically, but they have like a pretty intimidating pass rush with Anthony Hill and Colin Simmons. But let's listen. We're our overall offense 32nd in the FBS, and our defense is not too, it's not our standard defense by any means, but we are still the 12th best run defense in the country, just over a shade over 100 yards per game. Let's look at the numbers a little bit, Chad. In that loss to Florida, they gave 159 on the ground. Arch threw 2 picks, got sacked 6 times, and they gave up 7 tackles for loss. That Kentucky game, the 16-13 overtime in Lexington. They were outgained 395 to 179, but they stayed plus the turnover margin. Mississippi State, they were down 30-21 in the fourth quarter. Now, Chad, let me ask you something. Do you think that if Texas is down 30-21 against us on Saturday night, they're going to win that football game?
The way that you guys play in the second half, I would highly doubt.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you very much. That was the correct answer. They may have held Mississippi State to 63 yards rushing, but they also let Blake Shapen still throw for 381 and 4 touchdowns. And we do have Gunnar Stockton as our quarterback. Mm-hmm. The biggest number that I think is most important, and it's very simple, Kirby Smart is 17-1 at night in Athens. And that one is to Alabama earlier this year. So is anybody going to tell me that Kirby's let that happen twice in a season, yet twice in a lifetime? No. So I love the spot for us. I think everybody keeps talking about how good our ground game is. I think that we'll absolutely establish that with Bowens and with Frazier. But I think we can, we're going to see the Mike Bobo screen pass special. But I think that he has unlocked himself a little bit the back half of the season, calling much better games, hitting our tight ends when we need to, actually looking downfield. And this Texas secondary could absolutely be taken advantage of. You let Blake Shapen throw for 381 and 4 touchdowns. I think that we can see Gunnar Stockton absolutely put up 300+ on this Texas defense. It's a matter of our guys holding up front. Like I said, Gunnar's going to, definitely have his work cut out for him. However, I think that he's very confident in the pocket. I think that he escapes pressure very well. And I think it's might be by design that Bobo really doesn't have these long developing pass plays for us. Like, the ball's out pretty quick when we drop back. So I like that. And you know what? If they want to bring everybody, hey, Mike Bobo, you get to throw a screen. Your favorite thing to do. So I like this for us. I think also on the flip side of that, Arch has not played particularly well on the road this year. I think if this game was in Austin, we'd have a different story. But I think that, and we actually have I think the worst pass defense statistically, like sack wise in the SEC. But I think that narrative changes this week, and I think you're going to see Arch Manning on the ground a few times this weekend. I also am predicting that we pick him off at least once this weekend. That you could put that in writing.
Yeah, that's a pretty. I think that's probably a safe bet.
Yep.
I would, over under 0.5. I would go the over.
I think we pick him off this weekend. I don't think if Starkville on an afternoon can get to him, I think the Athens at night will get to him.
I was going to say night game, Sanford Stadium, and all the things that we've talked about before. I hate to beat a dead horse, but I'll continue to reiterate this because it definitely plays a factor. When you're the home team, you have an advantage at the line of scrimmage, just based on being able to hear the snap count or not. When you're the home team and you're on offense, your home crowd, if they're smart, can kind of tone it down a little bit and allow you to hear. They're not screaming for the purposes of making it impossible for you to hear.
Right.
There might be a little hum, kind of a buzz, a low roar, but it's not that we're going to scream at the top of our lungs on third down to make sure you can't get the snap off. Because what it does, it gives those defensive ends, those edge rushers especially, that half a step that they need, because your left and right tackle are looking in at the ball because they can't hear the snap count, or they're looking at the quarterback's hands to see the clap, and then waiting for so they're kind of waiting for movement.
Right.
Whereas when you're hearing the cadence, you can almost anticipate it and start your move as it's being snapped. This is a lot more difficult. You're watching it the same way that end is, except he's running forward and you're trying to get back in pass pro. And the same thing for blowing people off the line on run plays. So that little bit of an advantage that it gives you both on offense and on defense, I think makes a big difference. And like what we said, when you're talking about Texas's ability to get after the passer and their overall defensive prowess they've shown this year. Somehow Blake Shapen, Jeff Lebby, and Mississippi State kind of figured it out and hung a big number on them, and they had to claw their way back into that game. I don't think if they dig themselves any kind of hole like that, the results that you went through before, I think there are some holes. There's some vulnerabilities to this Texas roster up and down that they've kind of cloaked over by sneaking by and getting these wins, but Florida exposed some of it. Ohio State obviously exposed some of it. Texas's inability to punch it in the red zone when they got down there multiple times inside the 10-yard line. You can't do that against Georgia. We saw Ole Miss score on 8 consecutive possessions and still lose. So your work is cut out for you. And this is really kind of crazy. This is not the typical Georgia MO where you have a defense that's good enough to kind of circle the wagons in the third and fourth quarter, but they're vulnerable early, and you can get to them early, kind of like a starting pitcher that get to them in the first inning or two, and then once they settle in, you runs are going to be hard to come by. But the fact that Georgia is just putting up these gaudy numbers on offense is not typical. So
no, it's usually quite the opposite. It's usually like our defense is holding it down until our offense wants to find a spark. But yeah, it's absolutely been the opposite. And I will say, like, the discipline has to be so key here on defense, because Sark is a pretty damn good play caller when you get right down to it. And so we cannot expose ourselves against this Texas offense, because it's not like they're bad. You know what I mean? Like, they are good. And if we give them opportunities, they will take it and then some. So I think -6 is, probably what you would take this at. But, I think that this is not the upset that people see. I think that we take care of this.
I hope you're right for your sake, and
I hope I'm right too.
Yeah, and I think Texas's playoff hopes are still live if they can.
They're definitely still playing for that.
Yeah, because they're definitely playing for their playoff lives on a certain level, but I don't think it's necessarily a must-win for them, because they do still have that showdown later on in the season with Texas A&M in Austin. That time they beat them in College Station last year, but this time they get to play in Austin with the home crowd at their back. But if they can find a way to keep this one close and then actually take care of business against A&M, then they set themselves up to actually make a very convincing argument for getting into the playoff, because sandwiched in between those is a game against Arkansas. And I know Arkansas hasn't won an SEC game yet this year, but that Arkansas team they've brought a bunch of teams to the brink, including Texas A&M. So, and I know they got boat raced by Notre Dame in South Bend, but that's, or no, that one was in Fayetteville. That was in Fayetteville. Yeah, you're right. So yeah, that's Texas is right there, but this win would certainly help them. But I think you guys take care of business. I believe so as well.
Yeah, I need it. Everybody needs it.
The culture needs it.
The culture needs it. I know it's hard to explain. I shouldn't say that. It's nice that this is where we wrap up our SEC schedule, because then we can start to, okay, now we're looking forward to, the playoffs and everything like that, trying to just win those last 2 games and get a spot in for the playoffs. Because if all goes chalk, we get to avoid Atlanta. But if chaos happens, then we'll once again fall ass backwards into that game. But we'll get to that when we get to it. Yeah. Y'all have a game this weekend, and you welcome Arkansas, right, to Baton Rouge. And so why don't you tell us about that?
Yeah, let's hope they still have 0 SEC wins after this. I will actually be at this game.
Nice.
And shout out to
Cooking up some hog.
Shout out to Michael. Got me shot me over his tickets. So anyway, going with a friend of mine. We're gonna go see this one. 11:45 kickoff. Not thrilled about that. Not much time to tailgate. Not much time for the rowdies to get drunk. As Ed Ogeron said, put something in your coffee. Get ready, and we'll see. But 5.5 points just kind of is the indication of what the expectation is around this team and the offensive struggles that they've had. The coaches, it seems like, have already made the decision to burn Michael Van Buren's red shirt. There was some discussion in the last few days about possibly holding him out to preserve his red shirt, but I think they're going to just go ahead and let it fly and give him his opportunities to perhaps take over the job this year, but at the very least build some experience for him going into next year, where he could very likely be the one guy if they don't go heavy in the transfer portal. And we don't know what that's going to look like until we have a new coach. But since we're talking about a new coach, let's go ahead and pull this up, because we are talking about that. Hang on just a second. Let me pull this up here. I have to pull a different share screen. Hopefully this works. This is BetOnline. We talked about it earlier. BetOnline.ag. So let's see if it shows up. All right, here we go.
Here it comes.
So Penn State head coach Brian Hartline sitting there at -250, and you can see all the other guys that are there. This is like active live lines that you can go and bet on betonline.ag. You go to like it's football, NCAA football, and then specials, and it has like the coaches stuff.
Yeah.
So then Auburn head coach John Sumrall at -150. Lane Kiffin for Florida -300. So the heavy favorite there. But look who is number 1 on the list for the LSU coaching job. And I will tell you, this was at +7,500.
Oh, wow.
Last week. It is at +200 now. And Matt Campbell has gone to +7,500. And he's one of the guys that they were actually talking about a lot. Some of these guys are just on here. It's just crazy. Like Dabo Sweeney, there's no way. I do not see Dabo Sweeney
he's sticking with Clemson this year.
Not only that, but like this is not the direction you go if you're LSU.
No.
Like another guy who the game may have passed by and who isn't willing to change with the new era of college football with NIL and the transfer portal actually kind of hates that stuff. Now, you could say that about Nick Saban, but I think one of the things that I think perhaps makes this appealing to him is, number one, he's always talked about regretting leaving LSU in the first place. It's like the biggest regret professionally that he has is that he says he should have never taken the Miami job. He should have stayed at LSU, built what he built at Alabama, but at LSU, and he could have still built that same legacy. But he did what he did, and it's fine, whatever. Then as the transfer portal and NIL started to change the game to the point of what he complains about now, which is guys are just about how much can I get paid. I think there's a possibility that he could see this as an opportunity to find the guys who are more about like, I want to go get coached by Nick Saban.
Right.
And I want to go be developed into a stud. And Louisiana has an insane like hotbed of talent waiting to be like incubated and harvested. Mm-hmm. And he's a great guy. He's got tons of great relationships. That's why if you look at his rosters throughout his time at Alabama, Devontae Smith, perfect example, plucked right out of Amite, Louisiana.
Yep.
Landon Collins, right down the road from here. Like tons of dudes. Who's the guy? one of his offensive linemen, several of his offensive linemen. What's his name? The linebacker Dylan Moses, just tons of Eddie Lacy, all these dudes he just yanked out of Louisiana, out of the New Orleans area, West Monroe, Shreveport, you name it. So he's got those ties with those Louisiana high school football coaches because they loved him when he was here at LSU, built something in Louisiana. And when he went to Alabama, they were just like, look, man, nothing against you, LSU, but we're going with that dude. Because they were trying to, get their kids, their players, and the parents same way, trying to get them the best shot they had at being developed into a monster college football player. You see Lane Kiffin on there at plus 450, Kelvin Shepherd at plus 500. So I think there's an opportunity for Saban to look at this, even though he hates the NIL transfer portal era, as it is evolving. It's looking a little bit more like some of the things that he said are being taken into consideration, some of the recommendations he's made. And also, as the sport has evolved, now you've got a guy like Austin Thomas as a general manager at LSU who can handle some of that stuff. And Nick Saban can just stick to I just want to go talk to kids, develop kids, turn them into men with integrity who want to go play elite level college football. So we'll see. And there's some other guys on the list there. See, Arkansas, you got Ryan Silverfield and James Franklin pretty much neck and neck. Bobby Petrino has still got decent odds to retain the job that he's holding on an interim basis. And then they have the Oklahoma State job and then the UCLA job. So they kind of go down into the bottom of the barrel there for the last few coaching jobs. But that's what we're looking at is those are the odds right now. And Arkansas comes into Baton Rouge with a chance to get their first SEC win. This is always a rock fight. We're playing for a trophy. It's a big blade that's shaped like the state of Louisiana and Arkansas. One day it's going to hurt somebody because it's like 300-pound blade. It's like a guillotine waiting to really hurt something. Anyway, and they always hold it up over their heads and it's like wobbling around. Like, oh, it's very dangerous. Why are we doing this? But anyway, this one makes me a little nervous. I'm not going to lie, because this is one of those games where LSU is in the perfect spot for a team like Arkansas to come in, and the hope of like beating Alabama and going on this run to close out the season 4-0 was dashed when you lose to Alabama last week. Mm-hmm. And how does the team respond? How do they pick themselves up off the mat? It's an 11:45 start. Like everything points in the wrong direction. The only thing that's pointing in the right direction is Whit Weeks is kind of moving around at practice without the boot, and he's questionable as of yesterday. He may actually play. The defense did look good, but like it's the Achilles heel for LSU and Blake Baker. It's Taylon Green, a mobile quarterback who can throw it downfield, who can also just tear you up with his legs. And that gives LSU fits. If they can play good gap control, just stay disciplined. Don't try to do somebody else's job. Just do your job and make Taylon Green have to play the perfect game to beat you. Then you walk out of this with a win, and that 5.5 is probably close to accurate. You might be able to pull away. The other thing is LSU going to be able to score? Like, are we going to call a game that allows this offense to flourish? We heard all this talk about all these weapons, and they're there. Like Aaron Anderson, really good receiver from last year. They bring in Barry and Brown, one of the fastest players in the country, has all these records for kick returns and everything. We haven't seen it. Xavier Thomas, like it's just, and I think it goes back to what you were talking about with Mike Bobo and the Georgia offense. When you start to deploy your weapons correctly, all of a sudden, it really becomes just a matter of like, let your dudes do them.
It makes it a lot easier for everybody. It's just when you actually use the guys right. It makes your job as a coach a lot easier.
Yeah, and so like when your whole offense is throw the ball sideways and let that guy catch the ball running towards the middle of the field, or let him catch the ball with his back to the end zone and then hope that he can still turn. Like, you don't have any explosive potential in that. A guy's got to like go from a dead stop, turn up field, break 2 tackles, or get a block, and then maybe you can get. No, we need to get something, hit up the seam, let Trades Green go down, back shoulder him. Let's get some of these explosive plays. Let's run the ball with Harlan Berry more than 6 times. Like, these are the things that you can do to actually get this offense going. And we haven't seen it yet on a consistent basis. If we do this weekend, LSU has a good shot, but it's going to be tough. And we'll see how all the coaching rumors settle on this team.
Mm-hmm. You said it well, my friend. I think, also those Arkansas DBs can't guard within 10 yards. So hopefully you guys can get busy.
Are we going to throw the ball more than 4 yards downfield, though?
I mean, they're going to invite you to do it, so you might as well try, right?
If you just throw the ball sideways the whole game,
mm-hmm.
Anybody can guard that. I don't care who you are. It just collapses the whole field down. And if you're not challenging deep, this is the same thing that happened to LSU in the 2011 National Championship. We never threw the ball more than 5 yards downfield. And it was like, run the ball up the middle, run the ball to the edge, throw the ball to the edge. Everything was lateral, sideways. Mm-hmm. And if you don't stretch, you're not getting it done. So anyway.
Well, we got a big one here in the SEC and in the country this weekend. Why don't you talk about this one?
Yeah, so you have 2 really good defenses and 2 pretty good offenses. One really good offense, Alabama's, and Oklahoma's offense. Like, it's not as highly touted, but I mean, Alabama's averaging 33 points a game. Oklahoma's right there at 29 points a game. So pretty solid offense themselves. John Mateer kind of starting to come into his own. You can see it's still not that explosive guy that we saw early in the season before his injury. But this is a chance for him to go into Tuscaloosa and really kind of put his stamp on this season. And Oklahoma, let's face it, this is them pretty much fighting for their lives.
Mm-hmm.
If they want to make the playoffs, this is a must-win game because you still have a couple of not so easy games coming up. You got LSU and Norman to close out the season, but before that, you have Missouri next week, also in Norman. So you got this one, and then you got 2 definitely not pushover matchups at home the rest of the season. So this is the one you've got to win, and if you win this one and then go win those other 2, you're in the playoff. If you lose this one, you're pretty much out because what's your signature win at that point? The game at Tennessee last week or 2 weeks ago, I don't know if that's enough to really get you over the hump because the only other one you got that you can hang your hat on is the Michigan win to start the season. And I mean, it's Michigan's okay, but they're not. You don't have that signature win, so that's the way I see this one. Ty Simpson and that Alabama passing attack is going to be the key to this one. And whether or not Oklahoma can generate pressure, because Alabama is not going to be able to run the ball on Oklahoma.
Nope.
Oklahoma does not allow you to run the ball, and Alabama sucks at running the ball. So, they are going to have to find a way to give Ty Simpson time to throw the ball and not become too one-dimensional. They're going to have to get creative in their running game. The one thing that Oklahoma does have going for them is that Alabama has been a little susceptible, similar to LSU, not on the same scale, but to the mobile quarterback. So if Mateer can do enough with his legs to kind of keep them honest so they can't just drop guys in coverage and bring that pressure, if he can exploit those weaknesses when the pass rush kind of breaks down and creates some gaps, if he can run through them and pick up that 10, 12 yards here and there on first, second, third down, it gives Oklahoma a really good shot. But this is going to be tough. You're going into Tuscaloosa. It's that prime, 2:30 ABC game, and there's a lot at stake here. This is a chance, though, for Brent Venables to make his stamp in the SEC for his first big major win. I know they got that one last year, 28-3 in Norman against Alabama, but Oklahoma was dead to rights before that happened anyway. They were just trying to get to be bowl eligible at that point. This is different. This is you're going into Tuscaloosa, you're playing the number 4 team in the country, and you actually have something at stake here too.
Absolutely.
You're not just playing spoiler. So you gotta go in there. This is gonna be tough. They're gonna be feeling a pressure in this one that they didn't feel last year, is what I'm saying.
Yep.
Last year, I think you had that, well, let's just go take swings at them because they're the ones who have all the pressure on them. No, now this time shoes on both feet because Alabama's got a lot of pressure and Oklahoma does too.
Absolutely. I mean, listen, Oklahoma went into Neyland at night and they took care of business. Like, they have won on the road in the SEC and one of the tougher environments. And hey, listen, anything, 55 and in is good for the field goal kicker. So keep an eye out for that, right?
Shout out to the pants.
I shout out to the pants. Like you said, I think, Alabama's not going to run the ball. Got to find the advantage on the edges. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, it just this game, I think it's going to be a lot closer than people think. I think that Oklahoma is absolutely live to be able to win this game outright.
Me
too. I think they can definitely keep it inside 6. That is very, very, very likely. Yeah. There's just something weird. I think like Alabama is either going to drop this one or they have that. And that Auburn game is looking suspicious, to say the least, coming up in a few weeks. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, for sure.
But
I feel it.
Oklahoma's absolutely live this weekend.
So we have another one where there's a team that's going on the road that has a lot of game pressure on them because they've got to. This is a must win for Notre Dame, and you think it sounds like must win, like they should win. Yeah, but number 24 Pitt playing at home. It's an 11 a.m. start. That's not great for Pitt.
No.
But what we got here, man?
Let me open with a quote. I don't know if you've heard this yet. Reporter, do you feel like the Notre Dame game is a must-win? Answer, absolutely not. It's not an ACC game. I'd gladly get beat 103 or 110-10. They could put up 100 up on us as long as we win the next 2 after that. Who do you think said that?
Pitt's head coach.
Pat Narduzzi, out loud in a press conference.
That's crazy.
With full faith, with his whole chest, said that. So
that was the wildest thing I've ever heard. Like, how do you what?
There's a lot.
Is he just trying to rope-a-dope him? What is he doing?
There's a lot of ways to look at that. One of which is it's true, right? If Pitt wins the next 2 games they have, which is Georgia Tech, Miami, they then leapfrog into the ACC championship. So that is a true statement. However, as true as that statement may be, that is not something you give to the media. But that is like a thought that you can kind of have with your players, like, hey, our season is not dead if we don't win this weekend. Like there's way better ways to phrase that. Oh, then they can beat us by 100. Sure, why not? In our house? Why? Yeah, sure. Like, no.
So, but all right, so follow me here. I think it's a really clever like rope-a-dope tactic. It's like it's like the opposite of bulletin board material.
Yeah, it's like we don't care.
It's almost like the Notre Dame people are like, man, this dude's crazy. Like, what the hell? They're not even like, they don't even care if we beat them.
Yeah.
Like, okay, and then boom, you just get smacked in the face off the rip. It's like, oh shit! Like, I thought they didn't care.
That is a quote by one Pat Narduzzi. Like I said, sneaky way to kind of maybe like ease the tension with your own team, like not make them so tight for this game, make them play a little loose. Who knows? Mason Heinschel, true freshman quarterback, has now started 5 games, and in those 5 has averaged 64.1% completions, 1547 through the air, 12 touchdowns, 5 picks. So not too bad for a true freshman. CJ Carr, also a freshman, 67.6%, 2275, 19 touchdowns and 4 INTs. And 2 gentlemen, Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price, have combined for 1556 on the ground. I think this is an absolute very tall task for Pitt, but it is not out of the realm of possibility. Notre Dame had a little bit of trouble, going on the road to Boston College. I think, traveling to Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh, their home field also being the Steelers Stadium. Those NFL college stadiums don't really pack out, but Pitt still does have a very, very loyal fan base. So I think there's going to be some noise there because those Yankees have nothing else to do but to go watch some football. So why not? So it's hard to get the upset potential is absolutely there. But if we're recording on Monday and Notre Dame won 35-10, I'm not going to consider myself shocked. So I don't know. It's like if you can limit Love and Price, and also it's just Notre Dame's offense is a really tall order to try to defend with the amount of weapons they have on their side. But I think
that offensive line is
absolutely
really, really stacked. Yeah.
So but this would be a massive, massive win for Pitt with a true freshman quarterback stepping in kind of half mid-season, and he's been playing very well given the circumstances. So it's hard to say. I could absolutely see Pitt covering 12.5. I could see you have to get Notre Dame early though, because they do tend to roll late. They were 7-7 with the Navy before it was like 42-7 or whatever that final score was.
Yeah, it was ugly. Well, so here's the thing. I could see this thing playing under the number. And I
Cold,
see a
windy weekend
winning this game. This is kind of the last chance that Notre Dame has to lose a game, I think. And get bounced out of the playoff, which makes it even less likely, I think, that they lose. But let's just say Pitt is live and Pitt kind of does effectively rope-a-dope. Listen to these numbers and how like uncannily similar these two teams match up. So Pitt 39.7 points a game, Notre Dame 38.7 points a game. Pitt's giving up 21.78. Notre Dame's giving up 18.78. So it's like they're like right there in very similar. They're both in like the mid 400s yards per game. They're both close to 300 passing yards per game. Notre Dame has a distinct advantage in the running game with 194 versus 124 per game rushing. But the big advantage that I see for Notre Dame is their third down efficiency, almost 47% on the season, whereas Pitt is just under 37%. So the ability to get off the field on third down on defense and stay on the field and keep drives alive could be the turning point where Notre Dame pulls away in this one. And so I could see Notre Dame pulling away in this one late. I'm just for the sake of, I love chaos when it comes to these, like when LSU is not involved. Once we have been eliminated from consideration for any of these things, like back in the BCS era and those kinds of things, when there was only two teams, once you realize that you're not going to be one of those two teams, I'm just rooting for chaos because I wanted the playoff thing to blow. I wanted to see what we have now today.
Yeah.
And now I want to see a 16-team playoff. So I would love to see Notre Dame get bounced out of it, because then if there's going to be any impetus for a 16-team playoff to pick up, it's going to be Notre Dame being number 15 and not getting in.
1,000%. And it's true. This is Notre Dame's season is this game right here, because they play. I think they play Stanford and Syracuse.
Yeah.
What to do?
Yeah.
So like this is Notre Dame's season. You might as well pencil it in for the playoff now if they win this game. So if you're Pitt, though, that's a great way to play spoiler. And like their playoff resume goes up amazing, especially if they end up in the ACC championship game.
For sure. So another one that has some playoff implications, not
Group
so much
of five
for Navy.
Football, baby, let's go.
All right, not so much for Navy, but definitely for South Florida. Again, an 11 a.m. start and a noon for Eastern time start. But South Florida 10-point favorites. Going to play the midshipmen, and this one's very different from what we just talked about. These teams do not look anything alike. South Florida averaging 42 points a game, giving up 24. Navy averaging 32, giving up 27. How they are 7-2 with like a 4-point average differential is crazy. That's just a lot of close games, and getting blown out by Notre Dame. But listen to this. So South Florida averages 485 yards a game. Navy averages 440. But South Florida averages 226 yards rushing per game, and Navy averages 305. And so naturally, Navy is also like converting 51% of their third downs. I would love to say that I could see this being a big South Florida, a big Navy upset of South Florida, but
I do not see
I
it.
just don't see it because the way that South Florida is against the run, they're in like top 30, top 40 against the run in the country, and if you can't run the ball on them, it's going to be very tough. Much as I like Blake Horvath and his ability to get things done, if you look at his numbers, he's sitting here at 64% completions with an average of 143 yards passing per game, 7 touchdowns, 5 picks. You're not getting it done through the air against South Florida because you don't get it done through the air in general. This same guy, Blake Horvath, your quarterback, your starting quarterback, is your team's leading rusher with 138 carries for 926 yards and 13 touchdowns.
Oh my!
Good luck against the team.
Rushing.
Good luck against the team that stuffs the run.
Yeah.
So I just don't see it happening. If I'm doing anything, I'm taking South Florida minus the points.
Right. Yeah. Bishop Byron Brown just shit pumping of Navy, and we love the troops here on this show.
Yeah, for sure. I just don't see it. And this sets up South Florida. So the way that it's going to go down is, depending on what happens in the ACC, because the ACC is the real fly in the ointment to this whole thing.
Right.
They could either end up with 2 teams in because a couple of teams play really well, and Miami continues to play well and somehow doesn't get into the ACC championship and ends up on the outside looking in, and that you end up with something similar to what happened last year, where a team that should be in the playoff ends up not winning the championship for that conference, and the conference champion should not have been in the playoff, but gets the automatic bid.
Right.
But the problem is, if you end up with a South Florida and a James Madison, or a North Texas and a Tulane, or any combination of those 4 teams, 2 of those teams ranked ahead of the ACC champ, that ACC champ is not guaranteed a spot.
Nope. And that's like what I think people aren't realizing. I should say not realizing, but like the verbiage is, was it the five top ranked conference champs in FBS?
Right. Yeah.
Not the
whatever
not
conference
the
they are.
Yeah, whatever conference they may be from, it's just the top 5 conference champs. So it could be JMU from the Sun Belt, and it could be USF from the American.
Right.
It'd be electric. I would love to see it because there's like this doomsday scenario that's kind of thrown around. It's like if Pitt beats Miami and Georgia Tech, that drops them down further. And then Duke wins out and makes the ACC championship, wins the ACC championship. They would end like 8-4 as the ACC champ, and there's like a chance they just get left. And the ACC just gets those teams in.
Right.
Which is like,
what's crazy about that though is if Navy somehow wins this game, they're in line to win the American Athletic Conference. So
my god,
it gets crazy. But I still don't see it happening.
No, it's USF.
You got Navy, North Texas, South Florida, and Tulane all with 1 loss, and actually East Carolina as well with 1 loss in conference. But I think the best chance for one of those teams to make the playoff is it's North Texas, South Florida, Tulane. One of those 3 wins the American, and then if James Madison wins the Sun Belt, now you have 2 other conferences. And if the ACC champ is ranked lower than them, if it's somebody like Duke somehow, it can happen. And it's just wild. But again, like I said, this is what I root for.
It's
chaos.
True chaos.
Bring it on. Let's bring
chaos.
the chaos.
It's true chaos.
So speaking of Duke.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, this is not the ACC men's basketball semifinal, and this is also not the college lacrosse quarterfinals. This is a Saturday afternoon football game in Durham, North Carolina between UVA and Duke. I know this is what we talk about here on the South End.
And also, I just have to say, this is not a Duke team with 4 ACC losses. Duke has 3 losses outside the conference.
They just lost to UConn this past weekend.
They have 3 out-of-conference losses.
Yep. It's all out of conference. They lost to Illinois. They lost to UConn. And who was the Illinois, UConn. Well, I can
and
find it.
Memphis. No,
Yeah,
I mean
no.
Tulane.
Tulane. Yeah, Tulane.
Tulane
That's what
beat
it
them.
was. That's right.
Which
Mensa,
would be another
played
reason
as
why
a team.
Tulane should be in ahead of them
It's
if
true.
it came to that. But let's
Let's get right into
say
this
this
one,
too,
ladies and
because this is
gentlemen.
the craziest part is Virginia is 8-2.
Yep.
They have one conference loss, but they lost to NC State
I mean,
in
it
a
didn't
non-conference game.
Who would have thought that would matter so much when we mentioned
What
that?
the hell are we doing?
It's so funny. We mentioned that kind of in passing, like many episodes ago, just because we
now
thought
it's
it was
like
weird.
legitimately going
Now
to
it's-
influence the championship of the conference.
Oh my
Especially
God.
because NC State beat Georgia Tech last week.
Right.
Like,
And
what the hell is going on?
So UVA has been hanging on for dear life ever since they had that win against Florida State, which we now realize maybe wasn't that big of a win. We don't know. They hung on against Louisville 30-27, hung on against Wazoo 27-20. UNC in the most ugliest they had, like they kept, I don't know how they didn't lose that game. 17-16 in OT, and then they beat Cal 31-21. They lose to Wake Forest after the starting quarterback Chandler Morris goes down. He gets hit while sliding. It is very likely that he is going to play in this game this weekend. Morris, 66.7%, 2088, 12 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 214 rushing yards, and 4 TDs. Duke is coming off of a loss to UConn, who UConn's quarterback has like something like 26 touchdowns and 0 interceptions, or something like that this year. Playing very good football. Mensa, part of the reason that Duke has the number 4 passing offense in the country, 69.8%, 2794 through the air, 24 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. And shout out to the white boy, Cooper. I don't know if it's Barcate or if it's just Barcate, whatever. Shout out to the white boy, 50 catches, 824 yards, 5 touchdowns through the air. We love that. But to me, I think this is where like Virginia's kind of surge for this year ends. I think they've kind of been slowly running out of gas as the season has gone on. It's been really cool to watch them play well because they haven't been good in a while.
Yeah.
Like I said, Duke has that 4th passing offense in the country. But they also have the 128th passing defense in the country and the 51st rush defense.
Right.
Virginia is very pedestrian with both 54th pass offense, 38th rush offense, and Virginia rushing defense 31st in the country, and their passing offense 62nd. So it's kind of like, and Virginia's also been +5 at turnover margin, hence why they've won a lot of those close games.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think this might just be like the Darian. If this is the Darian Mensa show that people want it to be, I think Duke has it running away. But if UVA can kind of muddle things up,
they find a way to make it ugly. They
their offense is absolutely good. Their offense is absolutely going to score points in this game. Just a matter of keeping Mensa and them at bay, which I think might be too much to ask of that UVA defense.
Yeah.
So I would lean Duke. But I would not be surprised, Stephen A., if UVA hangs around in this one. But I think that UVA has officially run out of gas, with Morris potentially not being 100%, especially.
Right. So Joe Fagnano or Fagnano or whatever, however you say his name.
Is it 25-0?
25 touchdowns, no picks.
Yep.
Yeah, pretty crazy for UConn. And yeah, this one I want to lean Duke here too. I think Virginia has. I honestly don't know how they have done what they have done, but they have
+5 the turnover
way.
margin is literally the difference with those 3, 2, and 1, literally 1-point games. You know, that's literally what makes a difference.
Yeah. 1 point, and then UNC like went for 2 and didn't get it.
Right, and
the reason they
UVA also turned the ball over like 3 times in that game. It was horrible.
Yeah. So, but yeah, so that's a wrap on that. We're going to get into scenarios because it's starting to. There are some scenarios where if a few things happen, a few ways there. I think the SEC is just about a lock to get 4 teams in.
Mm-hmm.
There's a distinct chance that 5, and there is a weird outside shot that they get 6 and an even crazier 7. I think 7's damn near impossible, obviously. But it's going to get wild, and I don't know. It'd be really funny if the SEC got like 6 teams in, and then like ends up with like 3 out of the 4 semifinals, and then wins the Natty with 2 teams playing for it, and then it's like all this, the SEC era is over. Talk is just kind of like, okay, what are we talking about? And again,
yeah, here's what I will say. I know that no matter how it's set up, no matter who's ranked where, I'm going to say it right now, Chad. No matter where the rankings are, what the situation is, our road is going to go through Alabama.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to make that happen 1,000%. There is no doubt in my mind that is going to work its way out no matter what. But, yeah, I think like once this weekend kind of shakes out, we definitely going to get a big picture of like what the playoff is going to look like. I think, because some teams will be eliminated, some teams will have punched their ticket, essentially, right? And so, yeah, it's going to be interesting. But the greatest part is that, like, it's, mid-November, and we still are not 100% sure what's going to happen. And that's the beauty of college football and the 12-team playoff because, I feel like when we had, like, the 2-team and the 4-team, it's like, oh, well, we lost a game, and now, yay, bowl season. You know what I mean? So now there's more to play for, which just makes it that much more exciting. So we will reconvene with y'all after this weekend of college football. As always, it is horns down here at the South End Zone. That's what we believe. We appreciate y'all for stopping by. Make sure to like, share, comment, subscribe. This has been the South End Zone. We appreciate y'all, and that's all.
Ladies and gentlemen. Our intent was to eat. Our intent was to come eat and be hungry.
We're taking receipts, and we'll see you at the national championship.